Welcome to Takedown DFS. I'm a content provider for daily fantasy sports, and this is my first edition of UFC picks. I'm a newer site, so feel free to like and subscribe. I would really greatly appreciate it. And we got a nice fight card here. The fight card last week was amazing, and hopefully we get another one just like that. Usman versus Masvidal, you can't beat that. That was a great fight, and I'm happy Usman came out with the win because I'm a big fan, and I think he's one of the greater fighters that we're experiencing at this time. Sad to see some of those injuries. A lot of fluky things happening in UFC nowadays with these leg kicks and all that stuff, with Conor McGregor going down to leg kicks and guys getting hit in the back of the knee right there. The same Sean O'Malley injury happening again last week, and the injury with Chris Weidman was awful. As a guy coming out of Long Island, and Chris Weidman's a great guy. I've followed his whole career, and sucks to see that. Glad to see he had surgery and he's doing well now, but definitely a scary injury. I was cringing at the bar when I was watching that. But this fight card we have here, we got Dominic Reyes versus Jiri Prochazka. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to go with that. But yeah, this Saturday we got another good fight card. Hopefully this one is a real good card again, and hopefully we can pick out some winners here. So let's get into the fights and stuff like that. But I'm going to be providing content for the MLB daily, as you can see on my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. But also you can follow me for NBA content as well once the playoffs comes around, because right now it's a little hectic. You have your sites you guys follow, and I'll be doing some playoff NBA because I like that as well. So here's let's get into the picks for this UFC card. Let me get this going. All right, our first matchup is Luke Sanders versus Felipe Corrales. Luke Sanders comes in as a -148 favorite, and I'm going to go with FanDuel on this one. So their pricing is actually $15 for Luke Sanders and $14 for Felipe Corrales. So it's really a I like to say you need some of these fights because it's definitely going to be ownership swayed. So the ownership at this price range usually comes in at about an even standpoint. So you're going to get half the field going with one guy and half the field going with another when these closely priced, closely matched up bouts. But Luke Sanders has the experience in this fight, and they're both primarily grapplers. So this one's going to be a tough one to choose from. A lot of people are leaning with Sanders because of the fact that he's aggressive, and if he keeps that aggressive nature going, he could wear him down. But Felipe Corrales is not going to go put away easy. That's why this fight isn't expected to go to the end and finish, which you want finishes in UFC DFS. On FanDuel specifically, you want takedowns and takedown defenses, and there's no control time like DraftKings, so you want a lot of striking or takedowns or knockdowns, submission attempts, some of the higher scoring things on this site. But Sanders opened at -200, and the line has moved. So that's kind of concerning for the fact where people are trying to say that Sanders should be able to be aggressive on this guy and pressure him. But at the same time, Corrales isn't going to go down easy. So if he's unable to pressure him the way he wants to, this could be a grinded out fight to where it's a judge's decision where we could get split and all that stuff. And you know how the judges are in UFC. It's been pretty bad lately. And one of the decisions last week, I forgot who it was, is the wrestler. Trying to think I'm blanking on the name, but one of the guys everyone thought he had won, and I had him in all my lineups, and I thought he was going to win too, but you can't leave it up to the judging. So there's going to be a lot of guys on this card that they're not going to leave it up to the judging. So, but this is a pick'em fight to where I think I lean Sanders because that's where the money is going, and that's where I see this fight going, and him having the aggressive approach, and a lot of this decision wins. They like the guy to be more of the aggressor. But at any point, Corrales could flip this on the head, and if his aggressive nature isn't working out too well, Corrales could switch this around. So this is why it's a pick-em fight where I'm going to lean towards Sanders, to where my exposure, I'm going to go a little bit higher on Sanders than I would Corrales, but definitely a grinded-out fight. Next matchup is Andreas Michailidis versus KB Bhullar. KB Bhullar is a interesting guy. Like, I thought he was going to be a lot better than he is. And Tom Breeze actually put the lights out last time. Like, he was put down by Tom Breeze, who isn't really that great of a knockdown or knockout guy. So That's why you're seeing Andreas Michailidis, who is a very well-rounded guy. Doesn't really do much of a finish, but not really a finishing guy. But he's more well-rounded than a lot of the other fighters in this that KB Bhullar has faced, and that's why you're seeing him at minus 265. But they're now against the FanDuel pricing, where KB Bhullar is one of the punt guys at $10, and Andreas Michailidis is a guy you're gonna have to pay up for at $20. When you look at that upper tier range, you want guys that are going to score you very well. You want knockouts, you want submissions, you want all that stuff, or you want a guy that's just going to rally up everything, like another guy we're going to get to later on in the fight, who's going to get a lot of takedowns. But, so looking at this fight, Michailidis is better than Breeze, and Breeze put him down. So there's a chance that Michailidis could put him down as well. But a lot of the things right now, like to go to the distance, this fight is... yes, at plus 170. So they're leaning it on going the distance, and I think that as well. I think it's going to be a decision where Michailidis is going to probably win each round in the 30-27, 29-28, 29-28 kind of like decision, where it's going to one round could go either way, another round like all that stuff. But I see him pretty much handling KB Bhullar. But in that type of fight, like I don't think that's going to be score well enough for FanDuel. So I'm going to lower my exposure too much to Michailidis, and I'll have some KB Bhullar just in case he gets that one shot in, or is able to catch him in a bad move, or maybe sneak out a second round. So at the $10 price tag, you couldn't take a look at that, but I'm going to have some Michailidis, but he's not one of my top when I go up in tier at that price range. So my lean's Michailidis, the Spartan, but I don't think that I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him in this fight. Moving on, we got Loma Lookboonmee versus Sam Hughes. Loma is a very, very heavy favorite, biggest favorite on the card, I believe, at minus 375 versus Sam Hughes, and that's, you can see that in the FanDuel pricing. It's $21 compared to $8. Sam Hughes, I don't get this from my perspective of why this line is so big, because Sam Hughes is very good moving forward, and But like the thing with Sam Hughes though is when she's moving back, she definitely can be beat. So she needs to be the aggressor in this, and Lookboonmee should be the aggressor. So that's why that's why the line's that way. But I see a path to victory for Sam Hughes. So Hughes is the bigger woman and will need to use her size to be able to pressure her enough to where she's not comfortable. But Lookboonmee is going to be the person that's going to be striking and throwing heavy shots to where she has power in those hands, and she can definitely give her some trouble on the feet as well as anywhere this fight goes. So Lookboonmee should be able to wear her down as the fight goes on, but I'm wondering if Sam Hughes is able to apply a lot of pressure and push her up against the cage and lay on her and get a whole round of laying on her early on. The fight could turn, and then you could see Sam Hughes somewhat making this an interesting fight. But with the way that Lookboonmee fights, I believe that she's been able to strike her and have power in those hands to where you're going to want to, I see a way of her finishing the fight. This fight is not expected to go the distance at all. It's supposed to go to decision, and she's very, very high priced up, like I just said in that last fight, where you need almost a knockout, first round knockout or something like that to pay off the price tag. So I'm going to be underweight on Lookboonmee, even though I think she wins. But I do see a path to victory for Sam Hughes. So in some of my entries, I would definitely take the shot on Sam Hughes as the cheapest price on the card at $8 to fit in some of those bigger guys that you're going to want later on in this fight. But there's certain fights that I think I definitely need some of these higher up guys, or definitely need some guys in the fight. And I don't know if it's this one. So at the minus 375, I think she wins. But I don't think it's that certain as her odds suggest and her price tag suggests that I'm going to go overweight on her. So I'm going to lean Lookboonmee, but I'll have some flyers on Sam Hughes. Next up, we got the Fighting Hawaiian Kai Kamaka III versus Downtown TJ Brown. This is a interesting stylistic matchup, and where Brown is actually 0-2 in the UFC. He's 14-8, but he's 0-2 in the UFC right now. And he came in, he's going to come in hungry, even though he's you look at it both ways, where he's 0-2. So why would you look at him? Or he comes in hungry, and willing to fight here. But Kamaka is a well-rounded fighter to where he's going to give TJ Brown problems, and Brown is going to have his way of winning as well. But let's take a look at the fighting odds first. It's Kai Kamaka is at minus 150 to TJ Brown at plus 120. So they're leaning Kai Kamaka here, which he's the more well-rounded fighter. And then the price tags are another evenly matched fight where the ownership should be split, and you're going to have half the field getting knocked out for when one guy loses. But Kai Kamaka's at $16. TJ Brown's at $14. Pretty much a toss-up here. But TJ Brown is more of a wrestler, to where Kai Kamaka, if he gets put on his back, TJ Brown should be able to control this fight. Where the odds of this going to a decision are minus 170. So I think that it goes to decision, and it's about who can control the rounds. To where if it's a fight where they're going back and forth, I think Kamaka is going to have the edge here, and that's why Vegas leans that way. But at the same time, I think TJ Brown is a guy that will, that if he's able to get on top or grapple him or take him down a few times, or if he gets him down in the center of the octagon early in one of these rounds, I don't think Kamaka is going to get up. And that's where I want to lean in this fight, because I think the ownership is going to be high on Kamaka because he's a favorite and all that. And I think that TJ Brown can get the takedown here and control him, which I don't think that scores too well, but at the $14 price tag, it helps you pay up for some other people. So I think that TJ, if he could get him down, he can win this fight. But that's the thing where you have to look at it at a DFS standpoint, is to where if he's knocking the takedowns, Kamaka is probably going to rack up those takedown defenses, and that's going to score him well. And if Kamaka is able to land a bunch of strikes and piece him up on the feet while getting those takedown defenses, he should score well as well. So it's going to be a fight where I'm going to have some of both, but I'm definitely going to lean the underdog in TJ Brown here. I think he can get the upset, and I think that he can control him and win 2 out of 3 rounds, or maybe even all 3. But if he gets a takedown early, I think that's what controls this fight. So I'm going to lean with TJ Brown here to get the win over Kai Kamaka. Let's see what we got next. Okay, next up we have Gabriel Benitez versus Jonathan Pierce. And I love the way Gabriel Benitez fights. He has one of the hardest leg kicks in the UFC. And his kicks go everywhere. Like, he'll kick to the head, kick to the body, kick to the leg. Like, he's one of the hardest kickers we have in the UFC. And but Jonathan Pierce is coming off a big win in his last fight. So let's look at the odds first. It's Gabriel Benitez is minus 215 versus Jonathan Pierce at plus 170. So it's a $20 to $12 price discrepancy on FanDuel. And like I said, Gabriel Benitez is one of the hardest kickers in the UFC. You want to be aware of that kick. And in his last fight, he had his opponent holding up his hand to his head the whole time because he was afraid of that leg kick, and or the high kick. And that's what I think Jonathan Pierce is going to have to do here. But Jonathan Pierce doesn't really cover too well. He's more of just pushing forward and trying to get that strike. So he's going to leave himself open for those. But they look and they say, going the distance, they have this at no minus 185. So they think someone's going to get finished here. And it's a heavy lean towards Benitez. So I think they think that Benitez is going to land this high kick one of these times and put him down, which I think so as well. I think that Jonathan Pierce, the way he fights, he's going to come in and try and get in his face and do all that, but he's going to leave himself open. And Gabriel Benitez is not going to be a guy that's going to be overpowered, and he's going to keep you at his range that he wants and keep you on your toes. To where if Gabriel Benitez lands some of these shots or even fakes a high kick, he's going to have an opportunity to put him down. And I think that's what we see here in this fight. Jonathan Pierce has a way of winning, where he smothers him and keeps checking those kicks and watching out for them. I think he has a way of winning this fight, but I think I'm going to go with Gabriel Benitez by finish here, and I think you're going to want him at $20 over someone like Michailidis that I don't see at winning by finish at $20, or someone like Luke Boomay, who's at $21. So I think Gabriel Benitez is my favorite out of those three, but we're going to have some more high-priced guys that I like, but definitely going to have some Benitez here. Last of the prelims, we have Randa Marcos against Luana Pinero. Luana Pinero opens up at a minus 190 against Randa Marcos at plus 150. Their FanDuel prices respect that as well at $17 compared to $12. And Randa was a great fighter back in the day, and she's slowly deteriorated. I think she's on the back half of her career right now, and definitely a great career of hers, but I mean, not the record doesn't show that, but she's fighting a girl that's coming in, and this is her UFC debut in Luana Pinero, and I think they're giving her an opponent almost as like a stepping stone here to where she gets a nice name that she can beat on, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Pinero's UFC debut, and she does a lot well, so like Randa could out wrestle Pinero, but Pinero is a great defensive grappler, so it's going to be very hard to get her on the ground and very hard to control her. So I think that Luana Pinero is going to be able to piece her up on the feet because Randa Marcos' striking is, like, I'm just going to say it's pretty awful. And I think Pinero will be able to be great defensively in the areas that she needs to be to stop Randa Marcos from trying to control her up against the fence and trying to wrestle with her, because she's not going to be able to strike with her, that's for sure. So I think that Luana is going to be able to finish, not finish. I think she's going to be able to piece her up in the rounds to be able to score each round very well. And I think it should be a fight where you're going to see her up 2 rounds, nothing going to that third round. And maybe he's not going to be as much of an output in that third round. That's what I'm predicting here. But there's an obvious way that Randa Marcos could win. She could definitely wrestle her. It's a women's fight. Women's fights are technically, typically, fights where they're very volatile outcomes to where you get an armbar from guard or something like that in a women's fight. So, but Luana is definitely a more developed striker here, and I think that's going to come into play in this fight because she's not going to be able to be put on her back. And I think Luana is able to get the win here. It's a $17 price tag to where if it land on her, like, I think she's going to be able to get the win. But I think there's going to be other people that are going to be able to put up a better fantasy score for you, unless she gets a bunch of takedown defenses. But I don't think Randa Marcos is going to be able to even go for those because she's going to be getting beat up on the feet too much. So I think I'm going to go with Luana Pinero in a decision. So move on to the main card. Now we got the main card here. We got Poliana Botelho versus Luana Carolina. And Poliana Botelho is a minus 250 favorite versus Luana Carolina at a plus 200. So their price tags are the same as the other women's fight. She's $21 as well, Poliana Botelho, but Luana Carolina is $9 compared to Sam Hughes is $8. This is a fight where I think that this is the reason why I won't go Sam Hughes as much, is because I would actually lean Luana Carolina if I was going to go with one of these cheaper girls to fit in the price, to fit in these high dollar people, high dollar fighters. I believe that Luana Carolina has a path to victory here, and like right now they're saying to argue against Poliana Botelho, for this fight to go the distance, they have it at minus 260 to go the distance, so they're saying no one's going to get a finish here. They do not think so at all. And Botelho has bad takedown defense, but can defend against bad wrestlers. So like she has bad takedown defense, but I don't think that Luana Carolina is a great takedown artist to be able to exhibit like that weakness in her game. But at the same time, Botelho has striking. She's long and rangy, but when it's a dirtier fight and it's in close quarters, I think that she's not that great of a striker as well. So I don't get, like, she's not like a minus 250 favorite that you're like, wow, I understand why she's a 250 favorite. It's just more of a thing where they're both kind of bad in my perspective, but one is better than the other. So Luana doesn't move her head well. Like that was her like weakness in her last fight that they were calling out by the UFC guys, the announcers. And so Poliana Botello, if she stays at the range and able to just pick her apart, she's going to hit her a bunch of times. Like, she's going to piece her up. But Luana Carolina should be able to adjust during this to where if she stays on pressure, stays and pressures her, she could definitely find a way to get this upset at plus 200 or $9 price tag on FanDuel. And like, Botello has had much better grappling, but she's going to be able to. I think that Carolina does enough to where it's going to be a grinded out fight where it's going to be 2 rounds to 1 for either fighter, and I'll take that at $9 to $21 any day. Like, if it was a $15 fight, yeah, I'll probably take Botello, but I think I'm going to take the savings in Carolina and hope that she's able to get the upset or at least score enough to help when you pay up for these guys, like the guy I'm about to talk about next. So let's move on to the next fight, and we have a wrestlers matchup here in Marab Davala, the Machine, versus Cody Stamen, another Spartan on this card. And they're both wrestlers, so like that's yeah, like it's gonna be a definitely wrestling matchup here, where it's gonna be a lot of grappling, boring type of fight. But boring is usually bad for scoring. But with these guys, like, they're to go the distance, it's minus 280. So it's definitely they're leaning on just going the distance. But Davala is minus 250 favorite on Cody Stamen plus 200. He's the highest priced guy at $23 to Cody Stamen's $11 price tag. And I don't get the discrepancy in odds that much. I don't think it should be that high, but Marab Davala is a guy that everyone's projecting to be one of the top guys moving forward in this division. And but it's a very tough division in the 135 weight class. And Marab Davala in his last fight had scored 151 FanDuel points in a decision because he had 13 takedowns and 2 submission attempts. So, like, they're going to be taking down each other like crazy. And I think Davala is going to be the better takedown artist. And I think he's going to get the win. So he should be able to get a lot of takedowns in this fight, which is going to score you very well. I just don't think it's going to go to a finish. So he would need all the takedowns. But Stamen's pretty good himself. Like, he's going to be able to wrestle. If, like, whoever's on top position should have a better time here. But I think Davala is the better fighter. But at any point, it's like if one person gets the lucky takedown or anything like that, the fight could change on its head. So that's why I think it's crazy that he's $23. But if for his upside, like, yes, I get it. I think there's other guys with other knockout power, so I'm not sure if he's going to be the main guy in my captain spot. Plus, he's the highest priced guy, so a lot of people will go there. So for ownership standpoint, I think I might go off him in the captain spot. But I think Davala should be able to get a lot of takedowns in this and should be able to control a lot of this. So on FanDuel, you might have a thing where if he gets one takedown and then controls for the rest of the round, it could be a low-scoring round, where that's why I don't want him in my captain spot as much. But if they keep getting up, takedown, defense, like it could be a very high-scoring fight both ways, and that's why I will have at least one of Cody Stamen at $11, because if he gets all these takedown defenses and gets takedowns himself, he could score you very well. But yeah, let's move on to the next fight, where it's the opposite of a wrestling matchup. We got a striker's paradise here. Take a drink real quick. Okay, we got Sean Tarzan Strickland versus Krzysztof Joko. Sean Strickland opens at minus 265 against Krzysztof Joko at plus 210. Their FanDuel prices are $22 compared to $10, so Sean Strickland's right below Marab Davala, and they have it minus 150 to go the distance and plus 120 to not. So I think that the lean is that it goes the distance, and I think that it does go the distance, but there's a chance that it could end, and this is where I go into this. This should be a firefight where they're both striking and both these guys can take hits and keep moving forward, and that's what Sean Strickland does. He'll get hit in the face and he won't even just stop. He'll just keep moving forward. And they fight through punches. But sometimes that could hurt you if you're fighting another guy that's a great striker. Like in this matchup, they're both good strikers. But I think Strickland, the way he fights and the way he punches and his striking ability, should be able to piece him up and keep him going. But I don't think it's going to be enough to knock him down. But anytime when you have a strikers matchup where these guys are hitting back and forth, by the third round, when you get those later rounds, and a guy's been eating all these shots, it only takes one shot to knock him down. So if he gets a few knockdowns, that could score him well, or if he's able to land that kill shot, that could get them to finish. So it's a matter if he could piece him up that much on the feet to where he could finish him. I think if it goes down to the ground, neither of these guys are going to want to be on the ground too much, although I think Sean Strickland has the edge there. But I think Sean Strickland should be able to win this and keep moving up in the rankings to try and get better fights. But not to say that Joko can't land that punch, but I'm going to go with Sean Strickland myself here. I'll have some of them in the captain spot, but I think I'll have more of the main event or even a sneaky fight that we have coming up next. Here we go. We got Ion Cutelaba, the Hulk, versus the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby. This is where we get the another fight that's $15 compared to $14. We got minus 139 Ion Cutelaba versus plus 115 Dustin Jacoby. But toss-up fight that I'm going to have 100% of this fight. I'm just saying that right now because to go the distance, it's minus 280. It's plus 220 to go the plus 220 to go the distance. It's minus 280 to end in the finish. So they're leaning on this ending in a finish. Most are saying within a round or two. I think it's going to be in the first or second round. And when you get a first round knockout or a second round knockout, you want that person, especially at a $15 price tag or $14 price tag. So Cutelaba throws these big looping shots that he throws wild bombs. Like he knows he has power, and he knows he can finish them with his power. So he's going for that. So certain strikers will be able to attack that he's very wild with his shots. But at the same time, Cutelaba can put him out with any of these shots. Like one of these lands, they can put him out. Just as Jacoby is going to be trying to do the same back, but I don't think he has enough power to do that early in the fight. To where I think Cutelaba lands a big shot and is able to put him down. And that's what they have Vegas leaning towards. And I think there's fair reason for that. So that's why I'm going to have probably 90% Cutelaba in this fight. But the other 10% that I don't have Cutelaba, I will have Jacoby because they think it ends in a finish by his knockout anyway. But I think he lands one of these shots. It's just a matter of time. And puts him down. And once he puts him down, he just has to jump on him and finish the fight. And you get a knockdown and a knockout. And if he gets late in the first round, that could be a very high score of like 170. So I'm going to end. A lot of people don't like to pay the $15 price tag in a toss-up fight in the MVP spot. So if he does that, you could get a lot of leverage there. So I'm going to lean Cutelaba here, but Jacoby's definitely live as a dog. On to the next fight. We got Giga Chakatse versus Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson is a guy that fights for your money. So whatever you lean here, he's a guy. This is going to be a fight where these guys aren't going to back down. And they have Giga Chakatse at minus 165 compared to Cub Swanson's plus 135. Giga's $18 compared to Cub Swanson's $13. And they have it minus 160 to go the distance and plus 130 to not. So they lean that it goes the distance. But Cub needs to stop the takedowns and close the distance like he did in his last fight. He did that versus Pineda and was able to make it a striking matchup with Pineda. But if you do that in this matchup, Giga's a much better striker. And Giga is a much better striker than Cub. So he's going to be able to outstrike him and maybe even drop him. So I don't think he can do the same game plan that won him last time. But it's hard to close the distance on Giga and he could definitely make him pay with these shots. So you don't want to it's hard to close the distance, but also you don't want to stand and strike with him. So it's going to be definitely a tough matchup for Cub, but he's not a guy that goes down easy. So I think that I have Giga winning in a decision here. But that's the thing with Cub is if you take Cub as the underdog, he's definitely going to fight for your money. Like you have a guy that's not going to give up. He's going to keep going forward and could even win this fight in a decision where if he tires him out or is able to grab him up against the fence for a little bit, maybe get a takedown, throw it in there, and fight for your money. But I have Giga winning this by decision. I don't think he's going to be able to knock Cub out. So I think that it's going to be Giga by decision. So I will have some Giga, but I don't think I'm going to have a lot because I want other fighters that have more of a finish chance at if I'm paying up in price, even though it's only $18. But that definitely want that title fight coming up next. But yeah, Cub is the full fight for your money if you want to go with him. But I'm gonna, as an underdog, that if he fits in your lineup and you don't have Giga. But I'm gonna have some Cub, but I'm definitely gonna have some Giga as well. So I lean Giga here, but let's move on to the main event, which is going to be a great fight. On to the final fight of the night, the main event. Dominic Reyes, the Devastator, versus Juri Denisa Prochazka. I think I'm saying that right. Prochazka is a minus 137 favorite to Dominic Reyes at plus 112. And normally in these main event fights, they're the highest priced people on the card. But since it's so close in odds, they have them priced down $19 and $18. And that's going to make me 100% on this fight. Because to go the distance, it's plus 275 and minus 350 to be in the decision. So they think this is going to end in finish. And Prochazka has... I believe 24 knockouts in his career. That is 27 wins. And Prochazka is, I think he's a train that's moving forward. And Dominic Reyes is just the next stop in his way. And he's going to mull right through him, I believe. But there's ways that Reyes wins. And this is how I'm going to break down the fight here. Is Reyes is very athletic. He's shown that in the Jones fight to where he's athletic and can do a bunch of different things to where he can... move his body and move around to where he's not getting... you think he's done and he's not, and he just keeps going, and he's very athletic, dude. And Dre can take a hit and keep moving forward, though, so I don't think that Reyes is going to be able to do the same as him. And Prochazka's striking causes a lot of people problems. That's why he has so many knockouts, is because they can't strike with him, and they can't take him down. So it's going to be a tough way for... I think Reyes has abilities to win to where he's a very well-rounded fighter and can stand with him and maybe get a lucky shot or keep moving in and make it a dirty fight or something like that. But Prochazka is going to keep throwing these blows, and I don't think he's going to be able to withstand them. So I have Prochazka winning in the first or second round. And the longer this fight goes, I think the more he's going to even score, because it's going to eventually end in a knockout, I believe. Because they say it's going to be in the second round, they believe. But if this keeps going forward, I think he's going to eventually land in a knockout, but he's going to keep scoring these significant strikes that he's going to keep landing on this guy. So it's all about the will of Reyes, I believe. And if he's not going to be able to end this early and get that lucky shot, I think it's going to be the same thing we saw in the last main event, to where it's going to keep striking, keep going, keep moving forward, and then finally, boom, that one shot ends it. And I think Prochazka is going to be the guy to land that shot. So I'm going to go Prochazka there with... the main event, and I'm going to have 100% of this fight, probably 95% Prochazka, and I'm probably have a lot of him in the captain spot as well, because I think he ends in a knockout, but even though he's going to be a very high favorite for the captain spot. But that's my breakdown for this fight card. I'm going to be breaking down these fights every single week, and I'll be doing MLB every single day on my other social medias. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Takedown DFS, TikTok at Takedown DFS, and Twitter at TDownDFS, actually. And I'll put the socials down there, but make sure to like and subscribe. This helps you out. And yeah, I'll run through the fights real quick one more time. I got Prochazka here. The co-main, Cub Swanson versus Giga Chakatse. I lean Chakatse by decision. Kotalaba versus Jacoby. I'll have 100% of that fight. I lean Kotalaba. Strickland versus Joko. I think Strickland by decision. Davala versus Stamen. I think it's going to be a high takedown affair. Lean Davala. Botello versus Carolina. Lean Botello. Lean Carolina there. But anybody's fight, I'll take the flyer on Carolina. But can definitely see Botello winning. She's the heavy favorite. Brandon Marcos versus Pinero. I think the UFC newcomer gets her first win in the UFC. Pinero. Benitez versus Jonathan Pierce. I think his kicks and punching ability. I like Benitez a lot in this matchup. Kamaka versus TJ Brown. I think TJ Brown can use his wrestling ability to beat Kamaka. Luke Bome versus Sam Hughes. I'm going to take the flyer on Sam Hughes, even though I think Luke Bome wins. I think she's a more powerful fighter, but I think Sam Hughes is definitely a flyer as the underdog. Michailidis versus Buhler. I think Michailidis wins this fight, but I don't think he scores enough to where you're going to want him at $20. So I'm going to have some of him, but not a lot. And then Sanders versus Corrales is a flip 'em fight, but I lean Sanders there, even though the line has moved that way. So it's definitely a toss-up where I'll have some of each, but I lean Sanders as the slight favorite there. But that's going to be my fight. Hopefully we get a good fight card. Hopefully there's no eye pokes or too many nut kicks to where it's a crazy fight card. But hopefully we get some good fights. Hopefully no fights drop off. And